Good evening. Welcome to our Wednesday prayer time. Thank you for joining me in this important thing that we do. My Wednesday study group has started a new book. It's a devotional book that we're going to read together. It's by Kate Bowler. And in the front cover of the book, there's a quote from Frederick Buechner. And Buechner says, "Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid." I got to thinking about that quote, and I'm like, what if I'm already afraid? How helpful is it for someone to just tell me not to be afraid? I'm not really sure that works. I actually would love to know what the context of that quote, like what's the next thing that he said? How is it that you and I can manage our fear? I know that a lot of us are afraid of a lot of different things. When my wife Chan and I were dating, she had just gotten a job with Delta Airlines as a flight attendant, and so she had money, and so she bought a car because she needed a car to commute and go to work and stuff. And so she hadn't gotten her insurance on it yet. I get it had just pulled into the driveway for Uncle's house, and I wanted to go see my cousin Barry up in Kennesaw, and Chan's uncle was like, you don't want to do that. Don't drive it. We drove it anyway. It's like it's just a few miles down the road, kind of thing. Bad decision. We get to this long stretch going into the park, and there's a police barricade, and they're checking everybody's license and insurance, and kind of freaking out a little bit. Chan's driving. So the policeman comes to the door, to the window, and she starts to explain, and this officer is really not kind. Actually, he's kind of mean. He's threatening jail, and Chan's just getting hysterical. I kind of lean over from the passenger side, and the officer just points at me and puts me in my place. And anyway, we get through that unscathed, actually. He showed some grace. But one of the things that I noticed, even years later after we were married, is that every time we would see a police car with its lights on, Chan would tense up. There was just this physical response, this physical fear to police officers, because I think she was somewhat traumatized by that experience that we had when we were dating. And so I was like, honey, don't be afraid. It's a police officer, like they're on our side, kind of stuff. There was nothing that I could do, nothing that I could say that could keep her from having that fear. It's interesting, isn't it? There's a story in John's Gospel. It's Thursday evening before Jesus is arrested, and Jesus says to the disciples, John 14:1 is, don't let your hearts be troubled. Don't be afraid. And I mean, easier said than done. The disciples are a mess. Like, the context of that story is Jesus has told them, you're going to deny me, you're going to betray me, you're going to desert me, they're going to arrest me, they're going to kill me. I'm going to be resurrected in 3 days. I'm not quite sure they heard that part well. There was so much fear in the air. They were already, as a group, you could cut the tension in the air like a knife with a knife. It was, the Romans were trouble. And Jesus gives them something. I mean, he tells them, I'm going to a place. You can't come. He gives them hope for a future. And what Jesus says to them is, I'm going to prepare a place for you. Many dwelling places, many mansions. And he says, and I'm coming back. He says, I'm going to come back to bring you to where I am. And the great hope in that promise of Jesus is that the solution to our fear, the solution to our anguish, the solution to our mess is togetherness, like to be together. Of course, for God's spirit and presence to be among us. That's ultimate peace that God can bring. But it's also, on that raw, in the dirt level of, I've got you, and you've got me. And When I was a kid, my parents would say, "Keith, don't be afraid." 'Cause I was terrified to go to sleep at night. I just thought this monster was going to come through my window. It did not do any good. I was still terrified. They wanted to watch the evening news in peace, and so they would sometimes even get angry, like, "Go to bed. Don't be afraid. There's nothing up there." They would even do that. "Hey, let's look under the bed. Let's look in the closet." You know what I would do? When they would fall asleep, I would go down with my Snoopy sleeping bag and I would sleep at the foot of their bed or right outside their door. And it was enough for me. It was enough for me to be that close to my mom and to my dad. And that's kind of like what we do together here. As we pray together, there's a connection. We're close to each other. We're close to our Father, our God, our parent in heaven. So our list, Linda Varner, we've been praying for Linda. She has had back surgery and has been recovering at Smoky Mountain Rehab. She's doing really well. She gets to go home tomorrow, so that's really exciting, but we will still pray for her recovery. Michael Courtney, Teresa's husband, he has a long history of back trouble, and he's not able to have surgery. There's going to be a procedure to try to manage his pain, but really appreciates our prayers for healing. Larry Reeves had successful hip replacement surgery on Friday. Beverly and Roger Bard have COVID. Mike Pass had a successful heart ablation a week ago today on Wednesday. We continue to pray for Helen Ride's wife, Kate. Helen passed away. And her memorial service was yesterday at our church. Thousands of people have participated in person and online for Helen's service. We give a praise for Leo Coffey. Leo was battling pneumonia, was in the hospital some, but he is doing much better, and so we're glad that Leo is back home and doing well. Freddie and Jacqueline Tipton are having health issues and a lot of pain. Bruce Golson, we've been praying a lot for Bruce, and he's home and recovering from lots of surgeries on his hips. Tyler Moody has had heart issues. A stent was inserted a few weeks ago. Donna Smith's mom has stage 4 cancer. Wendell Robinson, we're continuing to pray for Barbara Iverson and Michelle and Rick. And the Rogers family and Michelle, I just found out today, had a knee replacement surgery. So a lot going on in the Rogers family, and we just pray that God would hold them all close. Amy Kilgore is battling aggressive cancer. We're praying for Jim Summers, Jeanette Shaver, Cameron Harding, Andy Fowler, Susan O'Day, George Hyatt, Danny Shipman, Carl Johnson, Corey Pierce, Dolly Connor, Becky Haynes, Paul Butler as he battles pancreatic cancer, Mary Coulter, who is on dialysis waiting for a transplant, Patrick Dyer, Roy Watkins, diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Gordon Pike, Becky Haynes, Dick Rogers, Patty Joe, Janet Mara, Roger Bard, Alan Livingstone, Rebecca Beaver, Ken Vanderlaan, Mary Ellen Allen, Dorothy Braxton, Preston Tinsley. We pray for those receiving cancer treatments: Gordon Wheeler, Jennifer Baker, Ethan Milton, Bo Medford, Dawn Collins, Luz Alvarez, Robin Johnson, Derek Bland, John Sears, Sherry Mock, Wanda Gibson, David Lombard, Rob Blackburn, Tom Massey, Brenda Griswold, Nancy Ray, Andy Smook, Ted Neighbor, Christopher Holt, Reed Taylor, Sandy Brady, Stephen, Mike, Scott, May, Laura, Joe, and Carly, Irene Noland, Pat Maroney, Barbara Malden's sister, Kyle Thomason, Chris Eulery, Chris and Jim Donahue, Susie Ward, John Ballantyne, and Katie's Aunt Joe. Our prayer is that God will hear our prayers, which we trust and know that God does, and that God will move on our behalf. Whatever our physical needs are, that God will inspire our doctors and nurses to perfect diagnosis, that God will help them to be at their best as they care for us and operate on us and treat us. We pray that God will give us strength as we are caring for one another, especially those with caregiver responsibilities. There are a lot of you out there. That God will give you renewed strength and hope. And we pray for, our soul ailments too. We do pray for those times that we're afraid, discouraged, angry, guilty, that we would have the courage to, look God in the eyes and confess our sin and just know that God knows all things, and ask for God's mercy and ask for God's direction, and that God would call us to great things. So, thank you, O God, for hearing us when we pray. Thank you, O God, for moving on our behalf, for journeying with us side by side. Thank you all for being the church in this place. I feel blessed that we're together. Hope you have a good night.